This is Richard Kuhns, your hypnotist, welcoming you to the Stop Stuffing Your Face program. Nope, that's the wrong program. Stop Touching Your Face program. This program is copyrighted by the Stress Management Institute. Copying, transcription is prohibited by law unless authorized by a representative of the Stress Management Institute. The program's about an hour long, so I'd like you to turn off any distractions, TVs, put your cell phone away, loosen any tight belts or buttons, and sit in a comfortable chair. The program has two parts. For the first part of the program, you will either need a pencil and paper to take some notes, or you can do it on a computer or a laptop if you have it in front of you. The second part is the hypnotic aspects of the program. Oh, congratulations. Wasn't that the easiest thing you ever did? Wasn't that relaxation great? The program's over. Well, if I were in a live program with about 50 people in front of me, there would be probably one or two looking down at their watch to check the time. And there would be others with thoughts in their mind. What's going on here? It couldn't be that quick, could it? That's a little experiment in time distortion. Now, how many of you have been hypnotized before? Well, again, if I were had a group of people of about maybe 30 or 40, there might be one or two who would raise their hands, and I would ask them, well, when you were hypnotized previously, did you cluck like a chicken? Were you aware of sounds and noises going on about you? Did you have your own thoughts? Was your mind able to wander and those thoughts would come and go? Were you able to open your eyes anytime you wanted to? And of course they would say, yeah, they could have opened their eyes, but the relaxation was so good that they didn't feel the need to open their eyes. And they were aware of sounds and noises going on about them. They could move or shift about in the chair if they wanted to. And as I said before, their thoughts would come to mind and disappear. No one has ever said that they did cluck like a chicken, or bark like a dog, or went to Never Ever Land and never came back. So let me summarize. At all times during the experience, you're going to be aware of sounds and noises going on about you, and no matter little, if any at all. It's not like a little bird sits on your shoulder and says, tweet, tweet, you're out. You'll be able to move or shift about. Your thoughts will come and go. And you could, if you wanted to, open your eyes. Most hypnotists, myself included in this experience, are going to use relaxation. So it's important to note that the hypnosis itself has no feeling. Yet the relaxation may. And when we get into the second part of the program where we'll start doing the relaxation, I'll go over what those feelings might be like. Now, this program has three goals. One is to recognize, according to Google, you touch your face with your fingertips about 16 times every hour. Most of us are awake for 10 hours a day or more. That's 160 times. And each time is a potential, depending on where your fingers were. If they were bad and they touched the surface with a virus, those little fingerprints between the ridges can carry the virus right to your mouth, to your eyes, to your nose, and that makes your hands, your fingertips, and your hands or palms, lethal weapons. The second is to reduce the stress. The coronavirus has brought about tremendous amount of stress with restrictions, cut back on hours, or suspension of your business, and where you going to get the next dollar? The government check's not here yet. There's a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety, some of us to the point where it interrupts our sleep. So another aspect we're going to look at is take the edge off. Take the edge off of that stress with the relaxation and be here now. Be here now, because we can't predict the future. What we have is right now, in the moment to experience it and aim our minds in a way that we can stay healthy and protect our health for the future. What are the alternatives to using your fingertips to touch your face? Well, you could use your knee. Well, I don't know if that'll work too well. But if you go out in the grocery store and see somebody touching their face with their knee, you know what program they've been watching. Well, let's look at your wrist, the back of your wrist. It's unlikely that it comes in contact with a surface that could be contaminated, like a countertop. So you can use your knee, your wrist. So go ahead and do this. Use your wrist. Get in the habit. Use your wrist to do your nose. Well, how about the back of your hand? Back of the hand is safe unless you touched it with your fingertip like I just did. So go like this with the back of your hand. What about the knuckles? Well, your knuckles aren't going around touching surfaces. So again, you could use your knuckle to do your eye. You could even use your spectacles to make a shift if that you're wearing your glasses. So practice this. Do this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be switching from the fingertips to this. This is how it's going to work. Fingertips, you'll be coming up, boom, like this, to the nose. That's how this is going to be working. Well, it might be a little slower than what I showed you. It could be a little more like this, but that's the goal. It's going to be a switch so that you touch your nose with the back of your palm, or the back of your hand, or the knuckles, or your wrist. Now, the hygiene. Let's go review the hygiene that's recommended. Keep the fingernails short. In fact, you might even get a toothbrush or a fingernail brush and brush them as you're cleaning, just to make sure you get all the little germies out of underneath your fingernails. Wash your hands. Well, they recommend 20 seconds using that fingernail brush or an old toothbrush. The 6-foot rule, stay away from other people, 6 feet. Respect them so they can respect you. And wear now face coverings when you go in public. And doesn't hurt to have a pair of gloves as well, but definitely the face covering when you go in public. Any new recommendations that your governor may come up with. Now let's look at your thinking. Let's put this in action. I want you to write down this idea. I am not going to touch my face with fingertips. Does that reflect what you want to accomplish here today? I am not going to touch my face with my fingertips. Well, typically most people will agree and say, yeah, that makes sense. Well, what I want to do is we're going to study suggestions. And how we phrase things can make a big difference in the end result. So to understand how this statement works, I'd like each of you to stand up for a moment. Wherever you are, just take a moment and stand up. Great. Now I want you to follow my very next instruction and do exactly as I say. Please do not stand. Let me repeat. Please do not stand. Now, if we were a group of 20 or 30 people, probably most people would be looking about at each other to see what everybody else was doing to make sure that they were doing the right thing. One or two might kind of sit down, but not smoothly, being a jerky. And you'd be, what does he mean? Please do not stand. Well, let's dissect this suggestion. There's only one word in common with please do not stand and I am not going to touch my face with my fingertips. What is that word? It's the word not. You see, it takes a third longer, if not longer, to figure out what a knot meant. I had you stand, follow my next instruction. Please do not stand. And the first thought, I didn't hear him say, Simon Says, what am I supposed to do? And you looked around, you would have looked around to see what others were doing if you were in a group to make sure you weren't messing it up and did it right. It takes a third longer. So when you say, please do not, I am not going to touch my face, or I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to forget the newspaper, the brain skips over the not, and it comes out like that. I am going to touch my face. So when your spouse says, don't forget to bring the newspaper when you come back after you got on, and you forget to, that's why you forgot. The brain skips the not. So we want to avoid the not. There's one other word here too. Going. Going is indefinite. Going when? Next week, next month? Your friend says, hey, I'm going to come over. First thing you want to know is when. So we want to get rid of going as well. And what we want to say instead is something like, I have stopped touching I have stopped touching my face with my fingertips. Or I'm through with touching my face. I'm done with touching my face with my fingertips. Oh, we're done, finished. Now, there's another statement we want to look at. And it may not be as applicable, but while we're looking at how suggestions work, let's look at I will quit or give up touching my face with fingertips. There are two words here that are also a problem. I mean, this may not be your typical type of thinking, but while we're looking at it, we want to look at the word quit. I mean, who wants to be a quitter? Ever since we've been this tall, we've been taught to not be a quitter. Nobody wants to be part of the quitting team. And even though way back here in our mind, our brain knows we're using the word quit in association with touching our face with our fingertips, it comes out, creates anxiety. So why use it? Give up. Who wants to give up? I mean, give up, huh? You know, it's nobody likes to give it. The idea is bad. Give up. Do without, give up. You're punished. You're bad. Go to bed without dinner. So we want to get rid of that kind of thinking and keep going back to, I have stopped touching my face with my fingertips. I'm through with touching my face with my fingertips. Okay, now let's move on to look at any doubts. 16 times an hour, 10 hours a day, that's a lot of times you've been touching your face with your fingertips. And you may have doubts. Well, it's interesting to note that this program that I'm using with you, I've worked with over 10,000 smokers, a slight different version of it, and their success rate is incredible. 10,000 people, 44% had stopped smoking for 6 months or longer. That's incredible. Because the national average of those who stop smoking using any kind of program, whether it be weeks and weeks or trying on their own or whatever, is only 11%. 4 times better. And that's 6 months. And smoking, why do I mention it? It's a chemical addiction. I mean, there's no chemical that is attracting your fingertips to your face. Smoking is nicotine. And if we can do 44% for 6 months, we're only talking maybe another month or two to get through this crisis. So our results will go through the roof because you have stopped. Now, let's go one step further. You have doubts about your ability to handle a simple thing like stop touching your face, or in your mind a big thing. Well, you've already stopped an important habit, having to deal with your hands and your face. I mean, when is the last time you thought of sucking on your thumb? Huh? And there was a time in your life before you had the cognitive skills that you have now, when you were a toddler or a baby, the thumb, you had to take it everywhere, or you even had a binky. I mean, it was your mainstay. And when's the last time you thought that you needed to suck on your thumb? It's history. You never even think of it. It's gone. You might even have difficulty remembering that you ever used your thumb. It's gone. So, number one, you've already accomplished broken an incredible habit. But why did you break that habit? Why? Well, there was an emotional reason, an emotional motive. You got to a point as a toddler that you realized you wanted to be a big boy or girl. And big boys and girls don't suck on their thumbs, and big boys or girls who do suck on their thumbs get embarrassed. So you decided that you had rather stop sucking on your thumb and be a big boy or girl than be embarrassed. Strong emotional reason. Likewise, we have a strong emotional reason right now. We'd rather stop touching our face with our fingertips than take the chance of contaminating our bodies with the coronavirus. I'd rather stop touching my face with my fingertips than take the chance of infecting myself with the coronavirus. See, I flipped. You can do it, and you will do it. Now, let's explore those doubts that you might have back here that could stand in the way of you accomplishing this goal. So, back to the paper and pencil. And let's go write down our affirmation, our suggestion. I have stopped touching my face with my fingertips. So write that down. As you're writing that down, notice if you have any doubts. You know, we just talked about 16 times an hour you've been touching your face. It's been ingrained. It's part of your life forever and ever. Notice if you have any doubts about your ability to do that. And I want you to be negative. I want you to come up with all the doubts that you might, and then jot them down. For instance, I don't know if I can be hypnotized. You know, thinking you got to be hypnotized to be able to do this. I don't know. So you might write that down. I don't know if I can be hypnotized. After you write that down, write thank you. I'm not going to take the time to write down your doubts. You can do that. It's been a part of me for a long time. It's been second nature. So write that down. It's been second nature. And then write thank you after that. The thank you is for your brain. When you thank your brain, it releases its hold upon you. So write down all the doubts that you have that would stand in the way, you think would stand in the way of you accomplishing this affirmation. I have stopped touching my fingertips. It might be, I just don't know if I can. I don't know. It seems alien. Seems different. Whatever they are. Now, the thank you, as I said, is for your brain. Do you like to be right about things? Sure, we all like to be right. In fact, sometimes we like to be right to the point where we end up paying a price. So your brain likes to be right. Your ego likes to be right. So when you thank your brain, it can dismiss this belief. You no longer have to be right about it. You no longer have to be right. Well, I wasn't hypnotized. Oh, I didn't think it would work. Or what? You don't have to use that as an excuse anymore. You acknowledged it. You brought it out. You thanked your intelligence. It's gone. you have stopped touching your face with your fingertips. So, as you stop sucking your thumb, you'll stop touching your face with your fingertips. It's that simple. You may remember what it used to be like, but forget what it felt like. How does hypnosis work? Well, it's suggestion. Basically, at the end of this program, typically 1 out of 30 will totally forget what it ever felt like to touch their face with their fingertips. It'll be just like this all the time. Well, you won't hit yourself in the nose, but boom, that flip. The other 29 out of 30 begin to forget. Of course, everyone wants to be that one that does forget, but let's look in the real world. The other begin to forget. And as time goes on, within the next couple of days, they forget as well. It's simple. We're going to be tying in a stress management technique as a post-hypnotic suggestion. And we're going to be working with stress as well. Stress is a trigger. When you're under stress, you're more likely to have the itch on the eye, or the itch in the nose, or the itch around the mouth. Stress. And if we interrupt stress with a stress management technique, we'll be far ahead of the game. So, anytime that you may have a thought, recognize that you're under stress, I suggest to you that as you take a long, slow, deep breath, and do that right now, breathe in, but don't lift up your shoulders, breathe, let the stomach fill up, let the abdomen fill, breathe in, and count back 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you may be surprised to find that the itch or whatever simply disappears on its own. The suggestions become more powerful, and you'll soon forget what it felt like to touch your face with your fingertips. So the deep breath is a standard stress management technique. Now, if for some reason you do find that your fingertips do find their way to your face, no reason to go nuclear on this. It's okay, it happened, all right? So you simply remind yourself that, well, okay, remind your brain that you'd like to flip to the fingertip, to the knuckle or back of your hand. If you get upset with yourself, you're making yourself wrong, and it's just going to be more resistance, So it's easy to, okay, I caught myself, and next time I'd like to flip to the back of my palm, the back of my hand or to my knuckle. All right, we're going to take a short commercial break, during which it's a good time for you to go to the bathroom, take a little stretch. We'll come back and do some relaxation. For those of you who are staying seated, and like I said, this will be a time for a little commercial break. The program is free to everybody. It's free to first responders, free to, my hat goes off to the health professionals, the first responders, the people who are on the front line. It's free to the people who have lost their jobs, free to the people who are worried, sick with what's going on, and if anything's ever going to get back to normal. However, if you'd like to contribute, or if you're in a position to contribute, 75% of your contribution goes to a coronavirus fund. We also have a self-esteem program. My new book, My Dog Got Run Over by a Rainbow, is coming out this week with Joe Vitale. There's a self-esteem program. I've been in this business for a long time, and it's very rare that I find somebody that I've worked with, it could be politicians, lawyers, doctors, that really like themselves. There's always that doubt of whether or not they're really good enough, whether or not they really made it. And self-esteem is often an issue. If being home, the hand and mouth act is a problem in terms of gaining weight, then we're looking at most likely emotional eating, dealing with a boredom. So we have the Scale Conspiracy book. We have the emotional eating program. It goes into habitual eating, emotional eating, self-defeative eating. We have a CD and help you sleep. You program your mind. You command your mind. Your brain is a computer. If you know how to give it commands, it'll accomplish anything that you desire in life, including sleep. This is a very effective technique that you can lie in bed, you can listen to the CD, and after you've listened to it a couple of times, it'll be simple for you to command your brain to shut down different parts of your body so that your brain can go to sleep. Very easy. So take a look at these things, see if what interests you. I have a lot of stress management programs and CDs. The entire site of over 50 different programs is available to you. Take a look at it. We have soaps and creams that clean your skin. Salon grade, the ingredient in it is a surfactant that deep cleans your skin, brings out bacteria, fungi, viruses, anything that doesn't belong there, so your skin is healthy. We have an exfoliant. We have a revitalization cream. Take a look at our creams. We also have a cleaning soap for your mask that will refreshen it and make it last a long, long time. We have environmental friendly laundry soap that has no sodium lauryl sulfate or any other chemicals in it that can be hazardous to your health or cause itching or biting. Or itching and rashes and that kind of thing. If you like coaching, you can also arrange for coaching services. Okay, we're ready for part 2. Just scroll down and we'll continue with part 2.